Hi, everyone. I'm Steven Stoneberg, the CFO and COO of Bitrix Global, and the host today of our video AMA. Today, we're featuring Bondly, Bondly, and we have with us as a guest Brandon Smith, who is the CEO of Bondly. Thanks for joining us today, Brandon. Bitrix Global team, really excited about our partnership with Bondly.
Thanks so much.
So I have to say, I mean, I can't think of a hotter space right now than DeFi and NFTs, and you're doing both. So we really look forward to going through some of these questions. So as always, we source the question for these AMAs from the Bitrix Global community, the general crypto community regarding your listing. So let's jump in to see what they want to know about Bondly. So if you had to summarize Bondly in a single sentence, what would that be?
Yeah, so the way we think about it is Web3 is coming. It's going to change our lives in many ways. And what Bondly is here to do, it's the platform that's made by collectors for collectors. And the goal of what we're doing is to make new types of digital assets for creators to connect with fans. And realistically, that this is the beauty of what we've been able to see with NFT is that there's so many different possibilities and ways that many of us who have been in crypto a long time have now figured that NFTs and digital assets, and these sort of connective tissue, has now come into the mainstream with core brands that I mean, for us, we never thought this would be possible, but yeah, we're this is possible so quickly. But yeah, no, we're really excited that we happen to be one of the products in the space that's leading the way.
Great. So why don't you, next question from the community, can you tell us more about your team, what they bring to Bondly? Also tell us a bit about yourself specifically, your background, how you got into crypto.
Yeah, so my background, my career has been about 15 years in most of the largest financial institutions. I worked for PwC, where I worked for the largest banks there. I also worked for GE and GE Capital. And what the throughput to all these experiences was how important that data and digital assets would be into the future of all of our lives, right? And where there's a massive gap, what we think is between products like PayPal, that came out and offered us for the first time ever, we could use the digital money transfer method to buy goods on subjects like eBay. But what's missing from the equation is what about digital assets that are natively digital, that are scarce and are high value? So there's no other platform that could really do this. And that's what I found out throughout my whole career, even at my last stop where I was an executive with a company called ShieldPay. From there, that's just where the genesis of the idea with my partners and our team came from Bondly, because we all had experience trading digital assets, things like trading Instagram accounts, things like trading whole e-commerce businesses that really actually didn't have a front door. So we knew that there was no payment rails that was set up for this. So that's really the focus. So our team really comes from a diverse background of both subject matter experts, e-commerce specialists, gaming experts. So one of our team members was one of the senior product designers for Pokemon trading card. Actually, I have some of his work right here in front of me. But yeah, so
Awesome.
So we have a lot of the core team is really focused around. We see that there's this concept of these digital assets that are coming, and our team is supported to come and bring that next generation to life.
So I think it's really interesting. I think for the audience too, like if we can maybe level set a bit. So an NFT, so that's a non-fungible token, which means there's a unique number of them. And then that's the opposite of a fungible token, which is a Bitcoin, where you don't care which Bitcoin you own, they're all the same. Or dollar bill, that's like a fungible piece of paper. So now the NFT can represent anything, but it could also represent a real world asset, like a piece of art hanging on your wall. But it seems like most of the use case right now, what you're talking about, when you say digital assets, you mean assets that only exist on your computer screen, like a screensaver, right? Not a real world asset.
Yeah, really good point. Yeah, and let's unpack that a little bit, right? So I think many of the fans that are connected today, they probably have some sort of fungible asset. Like it could be a dollar bill or it could be a euro. It could be, yeah, Bitcoin. Like if you have a Bitcoin, I have a Bitcoin, it's the same if we swap, right? No difference. So yeah, the NFT part of it is the non-fungible token part of it is a type of digital asset that we trade very easily with our platform. And the concept here is that because these are unique, because they're scarce, and because you can do many things that denote that specific token to do some a specific thing. Think of it like this amazing box of ownership, of identity. That's really what it is, right? So what does it mean? This means that, yeah, you can tie a natural digital asset to or something that exists only online to that specific NFT, and that is the ownership aspect of that item. It also works for physical assets, right? As a proof of ownership for a specific thing. You're going to see NFTs being used for this in many ways, but I think the core underlying concept is that you now have blockchain proof and blockchain evidence, and that connects you to that thing that makes you the owner of that thing. That's what the critical path is. And I think that the main thing, that's why we say digital assets, right, is because we've actually found ways now to connect things that are online and digital to an NFT. We've been able to connect those things together because that's the easiest thing. It's actually difficult because right now there's a lot of physical things that we would love to put this kind of NFT factor to, but the laws are really different. Like people are still just adopting even the digital side of the equation here, but we think everything eventually will have an associated
Right.
NFT.
So like you won't have to go to
Yeah.
Sotheby's and like waste your time and get ripped off with all their fees. Like, and then art, which is so many forgeries. But I agree with you, like art is held in different countries in different way. Like
Yeah.
it's too, but whereas if it's just a digital asset, meaning a digitized asset sitting on a screen, that's much easier. So to start with, but I think it's important for everyone to understand. So you're taking a digital settlement system, which is blockchain, and then you're applying either digital assets or real world assets in a token format. So this is really cool stuff. Now, maybe give an example of something that like you trade on the exchange that's really interesting, just so people can understand.
Yeah, like you're saying, what? Yeah, so we have several NFT card games. Now, granted, NFTs aren't cards; they're anything, right? Like we mentioned before. But the analogy we use is a card game, and we've created in Bondly, we've created several and supported several now that are related to our brand, to other brands, and then also massive entertainers. So the core concept for the first one we came up with was called BCCG, or the Bondly Collectible Card Game, is we wanted to use NFTs in an interesting way, not just art, which they are, but also how could we enhance this so that we could take advantage of everything an NFT can be, right? Really add what we call utility or perks, and really an identity to this thing you hold. So what we decided is we created an NFT program, and what was great about it is the NFT had new characters that we created with some professional artists, right? Brand new characters that represented our brand, that talked about our characters. So almost like very light mascots. But also what they did was everybody who owns that card, they were eligible for things like airdrops of tokens. They were eligible for things for paying no fees on our products, right? So these things just became more than just a piece of art. This actually became a high utility asset that met people on different levels. Like people love it just because of the characters. Some people love it because they use our platforms all the time. They wanted to make sure they paid no fees on it. So really, that's ultimately, yeah, this is why NFTs are so exciting.
Okay, no, I share your excitement. So I think anyway, that was me going off piste and asking my own questions to try to level set it for everyone. So now we'll go back to the script, the questions from the community. So you offer DeFi and NFT products. Can you give a quick overview of your product suite? I think we touched on that one just now, but if there's anything else you want to add.
Yeah, I think Bondly is sort of an ecosystem. So we see there's three core products. We have Bond Swap, which is more or less an OTC trade and NFT swap platform. We have Bond Protect, which comes out very soon. It's our whole marketplace, but also our back end for white labeling. That's what we're really excited about. Is like nobody really wants to come to the current options that are out there for NFT marketplaces. What they do is many brands want to make their own, and that's what we're super excited about. And the last one is bond dex, which I think is a really important element of the whole equation. So if I can predict into the future, right, I see that many brands and like music artists, they've already come into the NFT space, right? So where is the next thing? Can they really make a new art piece and just keep selling it? Maybe some can, right? Maybe that's possible. But I think what's really going to happen is artists are going to create their own economies, like similar to how crypto projects have come out with their own tokens for their platforms. I think brands are absolutely going to do this, and they'll be using NFTs as a mechanism for that, right? Why not sell an NFT of your latest album that's coming out, right? And then use that as a mechanism to distribute your fan tokens, because you know they're your fans. They bought your music. They're really excited to be part of it. Those fan tokens can then be used for your next album release, right?
It's like frequent flyer miles for the artist,
Yeah.
or I mean Banksy or somebody. I mean, there's so many cool. Again, it's like you're creating a whole new like playing field, and who knows how it will grow. It's just going to upend everything as we know it, which I love, these really disruptive technology. So moving along. So for, I guess, people who are more familiar with the product and the markets, what are the key differences between Bond, Protect, and OpenSea market?
Yeah. So I think definitely we love OpenSea in the fact that most of our products that we've created, it's such a strong secondary market that for our curated platform is usually where a lot of we call primary sales happens. But there's no doubt there's a ton of liquidity and there's a ton of buying appetite on OpenSea as far as being the secondary market for all those activities. So for us, Bond Protect is going to do a couple core things. So one, related to fraud prevention. So there's going to actually be staking requirements in order to be able to mint and create your own tokens there. So some of the other platforms have taken an approach of rewarding people for using the platform, but we actually have a different mindset, because right now there's a ton of fraud and there's a ton of misuse of NFTs, just like with any new market, right? You have opportunists who would come in, like for example, our card games. Whenever we make a new card, somebody will make a duplicate of that, right? So we're using our tokens as a staking and verification method for that. So people will stake our tokens, we'll pay them like an APY for that, for doing that. But also that ensures that they have a dedicated and verified account that goes through the normal process.
Awesome. So before I ask the next question, I want to recognize and say congrats on being the first DeFi project to run on the Cardano blockchain. That's amazing. So what advantages does the partnership with Cardano bring to the whole ecosystem?
Yeah, so we're super excited about this. I mean, if you look at the layer ones that are really doing some impressive moves, that you have to say that there's not a project that has done more in terms of legwork, in terms of like strategizing relating to their release than Cardano. So like us natively, our home base is Polkadot for sure. Ultimately, we will be bidding for a parachain slot, but I think I can tell all your audience the future is inoperable, right? I think last cycle, maybe 2017, there was tons of fighting about who has the best blockchain, and this blockchain is better than this one, and that was a lot of the talk. I mean, we've sort of elevated above that to a point where we think that we need to make that layer very invisible, and then our stack is totally inoperable, so that we can take the best qualities and the best experiences that Cardano has to offer, and then we make that part of the overall value proposition for, let's say, your favorite music artist who's coming into the blockchain, right? I would say that what I'm really impressed about Cardano is their approach on NFTs and how easy they've made it for them to structure it with their Goguen release, their smart contract release that's coming out later this year. The way that it's been structured, we've been talking with them about the approach, and I really think it's going to be a really super effective way, a lot better than Ethereum, I can say, in terms of how they're thinking about the buyer experience first, really, and the creator experience first.
Awesome. So no, again, it's really exciting, and I agree with you. It's watch this space. I think it's so fast moving. So how much of the next question is, how much of your token supply is allocated to staking and liquidity rewards, which is very important for people in the crypto community?
Yeah, the total is around 40%, and that's expected to be, I think there's like a 6 to 7 year timeline. So we've barely even scratched the surface on that. And we don't expect there to be like, yeah. So but the design of it is participation via activity and via ownership. And we're really excited about rewarding, let's say, major e-commerce sites who add us as a payment option. So you might see Shop Pay, PayPal, and then Bondly, right? And what we do is they would actually be staking with us in order to get access to the API keys to add us to their site. And what's the beauty about that is, like, we're also rewarding them. So not only is it their purchase of tokens with us that they're staking, there's also a reward mechanism there. So all of the vendors that we've talked to about this are really excited about it, and the fact that we can handle larger amounts, that we have a crypto-based escrow system. All of these things are super exciting aspects to them.
Great. So I know we've already touched on this a little bit earlier, the collectible card games, but I think that's such a cool offering that you have. So the question from the community is literally, it's really cool what you guys have done with offering a digital NFT based
Are they
on
asking me to show Pokemon again? Is that what they're saying?
Exactly. There you go. So one of our users expressed excitement about it, is wondering if you can share more about it and how it's working. Has it been successful from your point of view, and any future developments, community incentives? So I guess if you want to dive in a bit more detail on it.
Yeah. I think another example I want to talk about is a game that we've been heavily involved in called Polka Pets. So the concept here was very simple, right? How do you go against Pokemon? How do you take a shot at these guys who have a multi-billion-dollar product, have been around for so long, really dominate the whole space? And the truth is, you can't do it alone, right? So what we said was, while we're going through the process of understanding what are some of the other potential Polkadot parachains that are in that ecosystem, that like who do we want to partner with? Who we think have a really strong showing? Well, what we decided was to create an NFT game where each of the monsters actually represents a different project or platform in the Polkadot system. And why that's great is because us being one of the sets of monsters, some of the other ones being sets of monsters, we're all coming together from a marketing standpoint to promote this project. And that's why it's really exciting, because not only do you have the normal gaming experiences, but you have great projects like Plasm, right? Plasm is an amazing parachain. They're auctioning for a parachain, and yeah, it's super exciting. They have a monster in their game named Plasm, right? And it has moves that actually represent really key characteristics of their platform. So it's like a secret education piece, but to them it looks like this really cool, electric tiger character.
Right. So that sounds, I mean, again, that's so fascinating. And it's again, the space is so fast moving. It's just like every day you can come up with some new product. I mean, there's actually not enough time to do every sort of cool idea. So the next question, and I'm sure this is from a Bittrex user, will Bondly do a collaboration with Bittrex Global regarding Launchpad activities?
I would say if we did, it would be awesome. And it would be very exciting.
And of course, we're your favorite exchange. Yes, it goes without saying. Okay, so the next question is, what is a dream that you have for Bondly that is currently not a part of your roadmap?
That's a really good one. A dream. So I think that I'm really excited about our technology roadmap. Where I'm really excited about in terms of customer acquisition. So we have the tech stack, right, that we have of our different technologies to facilitate all these types of transactions. We also have a team that's dedicated to all these different industries. So we have a sports team. We have our sports team. We have a team dedicated to sports. We have a team dedicated to music. We have a team dedicated to gaming and geek culture, right? And these guys, not only are they doing great things in terms of BD, but they're also helping create the products that'll be the next exciting new NFT type game, right? NFT powered game, you could say. So what I'm excited about is more genres coming into the space. So I think that, some of our competitors, I guess, on the NFT creation side are doing a lot of great stuff with like sports brands. I think entry level stuff with major music brands, but we're super excited about, for example, genres like K-pop, right? Like getting into the next level of like hip hop artists where they can make these interactive like gaming components where they're doing albums in real time with fans based on the NFTs they have, combining this with things like metaverse projects like Network and the Atari Metaverse, where they can actually do concerts in a virtual space. Like, these are things that are that I'm really excited about, is like reaching new brands, reaching new opportunities that aren't really in the space yet, and showing them that it's easy with Bondly to do that, and it's also something that your fans are that they've been wanting this whole time and didn't realize.
Right. They didn't even know what they need. That's like,
Yeah.
you create a new market. It's a classic. It's like all these
Yeah.
like different kinds of Oreos we never knew we needed now. But I think, in the real world analogy, but no, it's great. And you could go on forever. So I think that's all of the questions from the community. Is there anything else? But there's so much we could obviously talk about. Is there anything else you want to cover, or do you think is relevant in the NFT space today, or frankly, just the crypto markets?
Yeah. So I think that like in terms of the portfolio of things that like they should be your consumer should be thinking about, I do think that NFTs represent like a serious new asset class. They're not just fun things that represent something related to a brand, but it's also, it's a digital asset too. Like, so I think that it's fair to say like something that like you should go with things that if you're getting introduced to the NFT space, like what do you go first? Like, there's so many different options. There's so many things to pick. Like, how do you even get started, right? So I would say like go through the process of trying to understand a little bit more about things that resonate with you. I mean, for me, it might be music brands. We did a release with Tory Lanez a few months ago. That was really exciting because they were memorialized songs related to an album he was releasing, and they actually released 24-hour. They released as NFTs. That was the only way to hear them before the actual release came out. So they were really like commemorated like a really important moment of his music career. Like, that's really exciting. We did another drop with Morgan Heritage, and he's a 2-time Grammy Award winner, right? And what's beautiful about that is he actually created these songs directly for NFTs, and they're only available that way, right? So I think that this is like start to understand like what your brands are doing. There's some artists that are coming in and they see it sort of as a money-making opportunity, sure. And then I think there's some that really are thinking about this in a really different way. So I would challenge the folks listening to just spend a little bit more time and look into it.
And I think on the money, and again, I agree with you. I mean, look, we would hope artists are not just in it for the money, but I think the money is obviously interesting. So I'm looking at your website on the front page. So you've got like Logan Paul, he raised $1.3 million sales in 30 minutes. I mean, like, these are incredible amounts of money for a new asset class. And then you've got Tory Lanez, 3 NFTs sold out in 2 minutes. I mean, this is crazy. Like, I mean, and then it said Pelly K. I mean, that just shows you, I don't even know who this artist is, but which shows you I'm too old. But 5 NFTs sold out in 5 minutes. I mean, that's insane. And 300,000 views, 4.2 million views for Logan. So, I mean, do you want to talk about how like the scope or the volume of money going through this space right now?
Yeah, so I think that the numbers are impressive, absolutely, and it's not just us. I think a lot of artists have come in over the past few months. I'd say since maybe January, February. A lot of the numbers have been impressive. I mean, 69 million for a single Beeple auction, right? 11 million for the Blau album.
Nobody knew who Beeples was, and now the whole world knows who Beeples was. $70 million.
Yeah. I think I'm probably one of the few that have been following him for years, and looking at his dailies. Just really impressed with his work.
But the auction estimate was nothing. It was like $1,000. I mean, it was crazy. I mean, I've never seen anything like this. Right?
Yeah, for sure. So I think that we're in a position now where I think that will not that it will wind down, because I think there will be numbers that exceed those. But I don't think that's really the entire picture. Like, these are
No,
the headline grabbers, right?
of
What
course.
I think, what I'm really excited about is how can we create these sort of new interaction experiences between the brands, and then also between the fans, the brands and the fans, right? And that's the way you can do that, is because, you know, every time you buy an NFT of a brand, right? They know where you are on the blockchain, basically. They know exactly where your wallet is. They're super excited to be able to do things like airdrops and give you additional things, right? And that's one thing within Pelican you mentioned, right? So he's one of the first to do an actually full NFT album. And how he did that, right, is he sold that single NFT as, basically, think of it as a digital experience pass, right? So anybody who's holding that NFT, for the past few weeks, he's dropped one of the songs on that wallet every time. You know what I mean? So
Right.
what's really so what's super exciting about that is, like, he didn't have to sell the album beforehand, or you had to go through and do the whole process. He literally sold it as this sort of commemorative moment and experience, and then basically just keeps giving new NFTs to everybody who owns that one NFT, right? So it's
Ah,
like,
I see.
yeah,
I see.
yeah.
That's, I
So,
mean,
like,
it's such, again, and who knows, you could be so creative with like how you, it's like you can be artistic about how you distribute your album,
mhm,
not just create the
yes,
album. And then it's changing the way you finance it. So, you know, with all of
mhm,
these things in these new markets, like you have hypotheses about how they should work based on the real world or like physical asset, or, but it doesn't. And it's going to evolve into so many new, just things we could have never thought of, anticipated, etc. So,
yes.
um, anyway, we could go on for hours talking about this. I think it's one of the coolest topics right now, but
Mhm.
sadly, this must, like all things, come to an end. So I think we thank
Yeah.
Bonley and Brandon, for joining us today for this AMA. It's been really, really great chatting with you. Love this project. Wishing you all the best with your roadmap and bringing decentralized finance to the masses. So for our listeners, if you want to learn more about Bondly, please go to www.bondly, BONDLY.finance. Thank
Mhm.
you again, Brandon, and the whole team at Bondly.
Cheers, Stephen. Thank you so much.